welcome back to the channel. Continuing on from the last episode, obviously I had to move away from the actual pistons, primarily because of broken rings. Replacement rings, new ring set has arrived, so we can now move back up to the actual getting the pistons in, getting the barrels in, getting the cam tubes all in place. I've already put one of the oil rings on. I always like to make sure that they're correct and fit nicely. So all I've got left is these two on one piston, and then the other piston to do as well. Also ordered some new circlips just in case. Can never guarantee what they're going to be like, so we're going to stick some fresh ones in. So that's the job for today, so let's crack on and get these rings on, then we can get the pistons in. So one thing with these rings, they have to go the right way up. It actually took a while to actually see, and I don't know if you can, but just there it's got the word top. And the same there. So they're facing upwards. So I've already laid these out. It's just these top two that have got the word top written on it. The oil one doesn't matter. So let me get these rings on the piston and then we can get them mounted. So the rings are now in position. I've actually staggered the gaps of the rings. Same on that one as well. So the piston pins and the new circlips. So we're going to give these a clean out, some lubrication, put some assembly lube just to make it slide through a lot easier. So it'll probably be, yeah, it feels a bit tight. And then we can move on. Then I can take this apart. It's just loose fit, just to keep it out of the way. There's also a certain way round the actual cylinder has to go, so when all this comes off we can have a look at that. But it'd be nice to actually get the barrels on. It is actually a fairly simple engine. It was quite scary to start with the amount of parts, but actually when you start going through it and start looking at pieces, it all begins to make sense. But it would be nice to get this up on this. Like I said in an earlier episode, I can't actually put the rocker covers on because of the way the frame's designed, with the bracket that's actually part of the frame, which actually fits onto here. Later on they did actually put a bracket system that was bolted to the frame, so you could actually take the brackets away, similar to what I have on the Z. So it makes it a lot easier. You can put the engine in a complete one piece, but with the bracket that's actually part of the frame you can't actually fit it in, so these rocker covers have got to stay off and be put on when it's actually in the bike. Alright, so what I'm going to do before I actually put the pistons on, I'm actually going to fit the actual inner circlip, because it's quite awkward to actually get in. So we'll fit the inner one on both sides. So I want that one and that one. They're actually quite fiddly. So you can see the groove. We see it just there. That's the groove that needs to fit in. Right, so that's the first one in place. Now I've just got to do the other one. You'll notice that the circlips, I say some come in that style, and sometimes they're like a G. A G shape. Do exactly the same job. Probably gives a bit better, because obviously when the pin goes through, it will actually butt up against that clip. So that's the first one done. Just got to get this one in. They are quite fiddly, and then we can get the pistons on the engine. Alright, so next one is actually get these pistons in place. Right, that's going to fit through nice. Just a bit of assembly lube. So that's the first one in place. Just need to push the pin through a little bit further. Then I can actually get the other circlip in. So that's the second one on, say the circlips. Nicely in position there. Pin's gone through, I've just had to tap it through so you can see actually the groove. I've just got to put that in there. These are actually easier to fit because you can get it in position and then use a little screwdriver just to edge it into position so it goes into the gap and puts in nicely. So I actually prefer these. I've never used these G ones before, but yeah, pretty good. There we go, and there's the second one. So pistons are in. So now we can actually take all the cloths and rags. I did quite load it up, so So the only other job, I actually need to refit the actual studs. So we've got 8 studs to go in. Just checking the threads are okay. Then we'll use a drop of Loctite and then I'll put them all in position. Alright, so I've just put the first one in. Drop of thread lock. And just using the 2 nut method. So that's 2 in place, another 6 to go. So let me get them 6 in and then we can move on to the next stage. So that's all the studs in place. I also gave the gasket surface a quick clean. Right, I've now brought the head into play. Like I said, I mocked this up early on just to give myself an idea of how it exactly went together. But obviously now we're moving forward, I need to take it apart because I need the barrels. Right, so back down to the barrels. Again, I'm going to give them a wipe over. They will need a bit of a clean up. So first of all we need to determine which is the front. This hole pointing forward, that is the front. So if I put a little arrow mark in there, I won't get confused, because the next job we need to put in is these blocks, so I can actually get them in place and then they'll fit through with the actual blocks. I'll actually show you what I mean. So we've got the hole at the front. So that hole will line up with that hole, and there's a bolt that goes through that secures that in place. Then you have the 2 blocks. They have holes on the outer surface, which are for oil. So they would actually fit in like so. So obviously they're fitting afterwards, that fits in position. Then obviously you'll have the tube, and then you'll have these rods. But say that hole there has got to be facing out, on both sides. Right, so the first job is to actually get that in position. Right, so this was the little bolt I was on about. Screws in here and sits and holds that in position. So to get that in, I need this tool. So I need to line this up, put this tool in place, and then tap it down. So I need to make sure that that hole is lined up with that hole. I've already replaced the O-ring. Because if that doesn't line up, we need to tap it back out and start again. So that seems to be lined up. Yep, and that's gone in, perfectly lined up. Pretty good first time. So I just need to tighten that one up, switch this round, and then we can put in the rear one exactly the same. So that's the front one in place. Now we do exactly the same for the rear one. So I'll show you what that's like when that's done. So that's the rear one done and the front one done. So now the next bit to do is actually get the cam blocks up, and I need to somehow tie them together to stop them dropping through when we actually place it on the crankcase. So the parts are starting to come down. Obviously I created a little bit more taking that apart, but these are the parts that I actually can't fit until they're actually in the bike. So as I said earlier, a little hole facing out. I'll put a bit of assembly lube. And they're in position. They shouldn't actually move down, but I'm still going to put this little cable tie just around the top, and then we'll move it, turn it round, and we'll put these ones in. Again, these are slightly different. They don't actually have oil holes in the sides. So let me get a cable tie, put in the other side. Right, so next stage, as I say, I've put on the clamps to hold the rings in. Pop this gasket on. Right, the gasket goes right inside down. There's a small little hole there. So that's all nicely in position. I've cable tied the tappet bars. So next job, slide the cylinders. So I've given this a clean up at the top so the arrows disappeared, so this is facing forwards. You slide it over the top and hopefully it fits nicely. This is where you actually need about 5 pairs of hands. I might have to turn them around the other way because they're just in the way. Right, finally it is starting to go down. That took some time. Right, it's nearly in position. Probably got about ½ inch left to go. Right, and that's in position. All I've got to do now is just put the nuts on, put the bolt in the crank, and that's moving nicely. We'll leave that at top dead. Right, really pleased to actually get it up to this stage. Everything seems to be turning as it should. It was quite a hassle to try and get the barrels over, but eventually once they started to go, it was good. So I did have some fun with the actual clamps. Kept slipping and the ring would fall out and I'd have to start again, so it took longer than I expected. I didn't show that bit because it was just too time consuming. So it's now bolted down. I've just got 4 outer nuts. Just got to do the centre 4. But as I say, I think I'll stop where I am. Next episode we can move on to the actual cylinder head, start getting the guides in. So the actual cylinder head I'll put in the oven, warm it up, so I can actually, these are the guides, get these cleaned up, and then these will go back in. So I'll probably bring you back once that's cooled down and that they're actually in place. Then got the valves, they need a good recondition and a clean up, so we can get that done. But that'll all be coming up in the next episode, so we'll hopefully get the cylinder head back on, we'll get the tubes on, get them seated, and then move up into, like I say, get all the valves sorted and get that ready. Then we can actually get the cylinder head actually on the engine. Again, any comments in the comments box below, appreciate all your feedback, all your comments. Let's say anybody that's doing this or has done one of these, love to hear from you. This is a big learning curve and a brand new experience for me. I'm really enjoying it. It's actually a really nice engine. It looks more complicated than it is, but I say once you get onto it, it is time consuming, but it is fun. It's nice to actually see it starting to come back and look like an engine rather than well, piles of bits in boxes as it was. There are links to other videos at the end of the video. Always, thanks for watching. Join me again next time. Cheers. Bye.